Hello and welcome to this edition of Jana Brock's Bunny Talks. I'm Jana Brock, and today I'm going to tell you about 5 things to consider before you ever start the bonding process. Bonding is a process we go through to get 2 or more rabbits living together safely in the same space. Because bonding is one of those topics that so many people have questions about, it would be impossible to answer all of them in one video. In fact, it would be impossible to answer all those questions in 100 videos. So what I've decided to do is start a series on my YouTube channel about bonding 2 or more rabbits. I have a lot of experience with bonding. If you've read my website, I also work with rabbits in rehabilitation. That is, I work a lot with rabbits that have been in situations where they've been abused or neglected by prior owners. And so I have every mix of bonding experience, from the simplest of bonds to very difficult bonds. So right now, let's jump into it. A lot of you know me from Love Your Rabbit on either Facebook or Instagram, or you may have read my articles on loveyourrabbit.com, or you might know me from my book Bunny Conversations, the entertaining dialogue of pet rabbits. However you came by this video, I just want to say thank you for being awesome and making the commitment to properly care for your pets. Before we hop into today's topic, please hit the subscribe button on this YouTube channel. After you do that, please click the like or the thumbs up button. That lets me know that you are interested in seeing more awesome, credible, amazing content about your pet rabbits. Let's jump into the 5 things that we need to talk about today. Number 1, make sure your rabbits are both altered, meaning does or female rabbits. They need to be spayed, and bucks, that is the male rabbits, they need to be neutered. But don't just get them spayed or neutered. Make sure the rabbits are totally healed before the bonding process ever starts. Choosing the right veterinarian for alteration surgery is very important. Choosing a rabbit-savvy veterinarian is a huge topic all in itself. I've included a section in choosing the right veterinarian in my book Bunny Conversations, the entertaining dialogue of pet rabbits by Jana Brock. If you want to get a copy of that book, it's a great, fun, entertaining book. It's available on Amazon and other book outlets all over the world. But back to the point I wanted to make on this number 1 point, just make sure your rabbits are altered and that they have had a few weeks to completely heal before starting the bonding process. Rabbit hormones can cause all kinds of bad behavior, but also you want to avoid your rabbit becoming pregnant at all costs. We have so many rabbits in the world. They get dumped, they're unwanted, they're so cute as fluffy little babies, and inexperienced rabbit owners get them thinking that they can commit to the process of raising them, and they wind up cast aside, unwanted, like so many other pets around the world. So we want to avoid rabbit pregnancy at all costs. Alteration surgery solves both of those problems. It calms the hormones down so that there is less fighting, and also prevents unnecessary and unwanted pregnancies. Number 2, pairing one buck and one doe, that is to say a male and a female rabbit, that is going to be the most natural bond possible. What I mean by that is putting one buck together with one doe is going to be a much easier process than trying to bond, say, 2 bucks or 2 does. Does that mean you can't bond 2 bucks or 2 does together? No, it doesn't mean that at all. However, we are talking about the most natural bond possible. Very often, putting 2 rabbits together that are the same sex increases chances of fighting. You might go to bed one night and they're fine. The next morning, you check on your rabbits and there is fur everywhere, and one or both rabbits has been injured because they got in a fight while you were sleeping. That can happen with any bonded pair, of course, but most often that happens when there are 2 rabbits bonded that are the same sex. There are several reasons why a doe and buck combination is more desirable and easier to bond. Like all animals, males have certain behaviors that are natural for them, and it is the same with females. Nature assigns animals their roles. Humans do not do that. For example, the base nature of a doe is to dig. Yes, bugs like to dig too, but in the wild, it is the doe's responsibility to dig holes which become an underground network of tunnels called warrens. That is their living space out in the wild, underground. Just like rabbits that live in the wild, your doe or your female rabbit has the same natural instincts. Conversely, part of the base nature of a buck or a male rabbit is to protect his doe while she is doing the digging. And so that's what I'm talking about when I say that nature assigns animals their roles. Your rabbit is a domesticated rabbit. but his or her base nature and natural instincts are still intact. For that reason, bucks were intended to do certain things, and does were intended to do certain things, and together they're a natural fit and much easier to bond, generally speaking. That's just the way that nature works. So if at all possible, pair up your altered doe or female with an altered buck or male. If it is not possible to bond a buck with a doe in your case, just realize that the process might take longer and you have to keep a closer eye on the bonded pairs that happen to be the same sex. Number 3, a very important thing to know about bonding rabbits is choosing a neutral location for the bonding process. What I mean by that is choose a place where neither rabbit has been and neither of the rabbits plays or primarily lives. If you do start a bonding process in an area where one or the other rabbit is used to being normally, then you're going to make things much harder on the rabbits and on yourself. In fact, you're also making the process unsafe for the animals. This is because rabbits are territorial by nature. And it is true that they're territorial before their spay or neuter surgeries, meaning before they're altered. And they are still territorial after their alteration surgeries. Being territorial is just part of the base nature of any rabbit. That is why you never, ever throw 2 or more rabbits in the same living area together and expect them to be safe and happy living that way. Being territorial is a very strong trait of both sexes, bucks and does. They are serious about what they consider to be their own territory, and they will fight to defend their own space. So choosing a location where neither of the rabbits usually lives or plays is going to give you the best chance of a successful bonding process. In a neutral location, the rabbits won't be focused on defending their territory. Instead, being in a neutral space will cause them both to be in kind of an investigation mode, checking out the space that they're not familiar with. Rabbits are very curious animals. Letting them focus on a space that they're unfamiliar with is just really smart, especially when you're making introductions and going into a bonding process. The investigation process of this new space they're in, it will distract them from focusing negative energy on one another. So it gives you, as the human bonder, a big advantage over this process. Long story short, it'll just be much easier for you to make proper introductions in a space that is neutral. Ideas for neutral bonding spaces might be, say, a kitchen or a living room floor, or a bathroom floor, or a bedroom floor, or maybe a fenced area in some other part of the house where these rabbits are not used to going. Just stay away from primary living spaces where either rabbit spends a lot of time. Many rabbit owners might choose to use their bathtub to begin the introduction process or the bonding process. However, I want to offer a very strong caution with bathtubs. Also, I would say the same thing again about slick floors or any slick surface. Slick surfaces are extremely dangerous for rabbits. Your rabbit's paws do not have any grip whatsoever. That's unlike dogs and cats who have pads on their feet per se. Your rabbit doesn't have that. In fact, there is nothing between your rabbit's very fragile skin and whatever they are standing on. The only thing in between there is fur. It's like a human trying to walk across a sheet of ice. It's that slick for rabbits to be on slick surfaces. So slick floors, bathtubs, and other surfaces that are slippery will cause your rabbit unnecessary fear, but also it can result in splayed legs, which is a very serious problem for rabbits, an injury that might be fatal for them. They could have broken or fractured spines trying to get their balance. They have very fragile spines and they break quite easily. And so being unsteady on their feet and slipping around like that can not only cause very serious injuries where they will suffer immensely, but it can also be fatal. Also, you should never use a tabletop or a surface that is elevated off the ground for bonding or other purposes, unless you're just clipping their nails and you have a really firm grip on the rabbit. But don't use surfaces that are above ground level for bonding, because there's a great risk of the animals falling. Rabbits are ground animals and they feel most secure with all 4 paws on the floor. If the only available neutral space that you have in your home is a slick surface such as your bathtub or the kitchen floor, just make sure you lay down a blanket or carpet remnants or something so that the rabbits have something to grip. Number 4, make sure you are committed to the entire bonding process. Let me say that again. You must be willing to see this process out. That is, fully commit to this bonding process. That might mean learning everything you can about the bonding process before you start the process yourself. But sometimes that will mean consulting with an expert bonder, someone who has done rabbit bonding over and over and understands the process and also understands safety concerns. Either way you decide to do it, bonders have to be very patient and they have to be willing to take a great deal of time to ensure a safe bonding experience for both animals, even if it takes months. One question I get over and over again about bonding is, how long will it take to bond my 2 rabbits? Well, that's a question really no expert can answer without having a lot more information. The truth is, it may take you a week or 2 to successfully bond 2 rabbits. On the other hand, it could take 6 or 8 or 10 months or even a year or more. One of the most difficult bonds I ever did took over 8 months of daily sessions. In fact, some days I was doing 2 or 3 bonding sessions, and still it took 8 months after I initially introduced these 2 rabbits. One of the rabbits was a buck and the other was a doe, both altered, so they should have been an easy match. But it was not love at first sight, and I knew that it would not be love at first sight no matter who I introduced this doe to, this female rabbit. And there were good reasons why this bond would take so long. One of the rabbits, the doe, she had been abused horribly before I acquired her. She was rescued. And so after she arrived, I didn't even think about finding her a partner until after I had worked with her one-on-one every day for about 7 months. This was because she had a very long rehabilitation period, because she had to learn to trust humans again, and she also didn't trust any animals. After that 7 months of rehabilitation work, I introduced this doe to a buck. They were both altered, of course. I chose a breed of buck that was a giant breed that had also been rescued and come into my care. And he had a very docile personality, which in the case of this doe that had very huge trust issues and harsh beginnings, I knew, just working with rabbits for years, that is what she needed. Some weeks I had 2 to 3 bonding sessions every single day. Day after day, week after week, and month after month, I worked with these 2 rabbits. Finally, the doe learned to trust her new buck, this giant buck that I had acquired. And they are now today solidly bonded. They've been a pair for almost a year, and they are doing great. But that was a commitment I made before I ever introduced them. I had to solidly commit to a bonding process that I knew was going to be in the category of a very difficult bond. I recognized with this doe that I had acquired, who had been abused so badly before I got her, that no matter what partner I found for her, it would be a very, very difficult process. And so that is what I mean by really committing to the process. It might take you a week, it might take you 2 weeks, probably take you closer to a month if you're doing a safe bonding process with 2 healthy rabbits that don't have harsh beginnings. But if your rabbits have any health issues or have any trust issues or have been mistreated in the past before you acquired them, it might take 4 months, or it might take 6 months, or it might take a year. That's the process you're committing to, especially those of you who are new bonders and don't have the experience that expert bonders have. If you're inexperienced with bonding and think you might have a situation that is very difficult, I strongly suggest paying a qualified bonder to help you, whether you connect with somebody online and pay them to help you, day after day over like a Skype session or something, or whether you have someone in your area that actually charges to help you bond. Believe me, it'll cost a lot less money than even one vet bill if you make a mistake. And you don't want your rabbits to unnecessarily suffer or wind up with serious injuries. And you don't want to wind up with serious injuries, scratches or bites either. Bonding is one of those things that could go very well, or it could quickly go very wrong. So just be careful. That brings me to number 5 on my list of things to know before you begin any bonding process. And that is, properly introduce your rabbits before ever allowing them in the same space together. Proper introductions might last 2 days, they might last a month. It all depends on the rabbit's history and whether or not they're a good match initially. In other words, some rabbits have a love at first sight situation where they like each other right from the start. That doesn't mean you can safely toss them in the same crate together or the same primary living space. You still need to go through a bonding process just to make sure both animals are safe. Love at first sight is generally not the case. It does happen, but not generally. Proper introductions would be putting each of them in a fenced area where they have a pet gate or fence between them. This allows them to kind of touch noses, or, within time they might lay down. by one another. You can feed them each one bunny on one side of the fence, the other one on the other, so they can see each other, but they can't actually get together to fight. It protects them and it allows them to kind of get used to each other's scents. You can observe them, kind of see how they're going to do together. Local rescues, house rabbit societies, shelters, and other caretakers that work with rabbits all the time will often allow you to bring your bunny in to meet their rabbits, which should already be spayed and neutered. In most cases, they are. If you do this kind of introduction, you have a good chance of finding your furry friend a partner that's just right for him or her. This might help you avoid a difficult bonding process. Plus, you can talk to the people that are on staff about the bonding process itself. They might have someone who is experienced with bonding that is willing to help you out. In future bonding videos, we're going to talk more about the actual steps involved with bonding and the bonding process itself. So thank you so much for joining me on this important episode of Jana Brock's Bunny Talks. Check back here on this Love Your Rabbit YouTube channel to see more awesome videos on best care practices for your pet rabbit, and also enjoy fun and entertaining rabbit videos. As always, be kind to animals, and thank you for caring.